Hi, folks, and welcome to my 6,000 sub sessions. Hopefully, getting six people. If I do things right, I'm trying to plan the next one on Saturday, and then I got one guy that agreed to come next week. We're just sitting on a date. The other guy, sadly, is going to turn me down. I'm sad. He's read it. He's read my response. He's read my email. He has not responded. Which means he's probably going to. I emailed him a couple of days ago, so he's probably turned me down. So I'm going to have to find one of my backups on my list. But, oh my goodness, my first guest. I am so happy. I've been wanting him on the channel for a very long time, folks. I agree with probably 90 to 95% of everything that comes out of this man's mouth. He's just amazing. He has not one but two channels on YouTube that I follow, and both of them I absolutely love. If you don't know him, then you need to go subscribe to him. It is the one, the only Professor Geek. I am so happy to have you.
I am thrilled to be here. I was actually watching your channel long before you ever knew who I was. I might have contacted you first, didn't I? Because I was getting into the EU.
You did contact me, and I didn't know. I was like, "Who's this guy?" And I was like, "This guy's great." And look at this. Big Al is here. Oh man, it's like I can't believe I got another celebrity in the chat there.
Yeah, because Big Al follows me everywhere.
The thing is, by the way, Big Al, one of the things they're doing right now, they're going through the Chronicles of Narnia on his channel, and they're breaking it down into chapters and everything, and doing a deep dive into it too. And it's just wonderful. Now, I am a huge Chronicles of Narnia fan. I read those a billion times over. That and Lord of the Rings are just something that I always go to and reread. Yeah, and as you're breaking it down, I'm going, oh yeah. And it's just so much fun. Those books are so much fun. And there's just a lot. There's a lot of what's the word I'm trying to think of? Those books are more than just children's books.
Oh yeah.
It's there's a lot behind it. There's a lot of thought process that went into it, and the symbolism is great. I love it all. But welcome.
Thank you.
Tell everyone a little bit about how Professor Geek got started, where the name got put in. Talk about your channel for a little bit.
Sure, yeah. Well, I am a professor. I actually teach writing and literature at State University, and my scholarship that I follow in my own time has been looking at mythologies and how they affect cultural mythologies, and that matches up with my own interest because I've always been a geek. Growing up on comic books and science fiction movies and whatnot, and Lord of the Rings and everything. So I carried that interest over into the scholarship. And I was actually seeing a disturbing trend because I study, for me, when I look at a movie or a comic book or anything and see, is this any good? What's the value of it? It's not just, did I enjoy it? That's taste. That's not quality. Is it, and it's not just, did I think it was a well-done story? That's another level, and that's important. But I take it to the third level, and is this good for society? Because mythology really does affect our culture. And I talk about how, psychologically, we're the product of the stories we tell ourselves. If I think I did a good job at work yesterday, then that's the story I told myself about what I did yesterday. Maybe true, maybe not, maybe halfway there or whatever. And that's going to affect my confidence level, say today or something. That's just one short little example. So we're a product of the stories we tell ourselves, but we're also a product of the stories that we spend time around. The kind of stories you consistently partake of and consume, that's going to affect your outlook on the world. It's going to affect the kind of values, the kind of taboos you think are there, the things to be you should strive for. All of that's going to affect you. So that affects us on an individual level as well as on a societal level in our culture, because a culture's mythology is what kind of binds us together and helps us to strive for the right things, shun the right attitudes and behaviors and whatnot, and function as a society. So, today's society, we don't really have a one religion, say in America, like, ancient Greeks or Norse did or whatnot, but we tend to use our fiction as our cultural mythology, and it's different things, whether it's superheroes or Disney films or Star Wars or whatever, things that fictional worlds or fictional story universes that have really permeated the culture to an extent where the average person on the street knows at least a little something about it, even if they don't necessarily read or watch. So that's my interest. And I saw a disturbing trend that the types of movies, not only the types of movies people were gravitating towards, but also there was a disturbing trend of trying to tear down and muddy up and deconstruct a lot of our aspirational heroes, because I deal with a lot of the archetypes and how they function in our world too. So at first I made some Facebook channels, Facebook pages, and tried to promote like the iconic Superman or the iconic Batman or Wonder Woman and stuff for a while. And then that just kind of spilled over. I thought, why don't I do a channel? And I started doing comic reviews, some movie analyses and whatnot. Went through a couple of different permeations. I was doing some geek news commentary for a while, kind of got out of that. And now I just kind of keep it straight, trying to turn people's eyes towards some of the good stuff that's out there that they might have missed from before, but then also calling out what are some of the issues with a lot of the new iterations and things that are offered.
Yeah, that's another thing I should mention. Yeah, there's some good comic book reviews on there, and his recommendations are really good. Those are some that I would even recommend. The ones that you're recommending on your channel as well. Cool. And cool. Here you go. That's why you like this guy. That's right.
Thank you, Tabletop.
So the thing is, you were also doing, and this is crazy because, like I said, we don't talk as much. We do occasional emails here and there, and you have submitted some excellent reviews for the expanded universe.
Thank you.
Dawn of the Jedi. I read it, I was like, oh, I need to step up my game.
Oh no!
Because I remember Chris was like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "This is Chris. I know."
Awesome.
Great review of Dawn of the Jedi. So if you definitely want to see that, you need to go back and check it out. But you were also reviewing Dune.
Oh yeah, we did a Dune book study.
While I was reading Dune, it was so weird. I was like, no way. It's like every topic that I'm thinking about, this guy's talking about here. Cool. And your breakdown of Frank Herbert and everything was very interesting. I was like, oh man, that's great. You know, I read the book and I couldn't articulate words as well.
Well,
that's right.
It's the one thing that I do well is book studies and stuff like that. But that, I try to bring my my classroom expertise to a book and looking at some of the themes. Let's break down the themes. Let's break down the analysis. How are they using these characters and so forth? And, but still try and make it in a way that's accessible just to anybody on YouTube. And hopefully they'll, a lot of people I find just watch the studies, not necessarily even reading along, but they just kind of like the things we're saying or the way we kind of give a summation of the chapters and then look into it. And hopefully people will turn around and go to it before. At this point, I am doing a series of EU studies as well. Yes. Doing Red Harvest right now because we're going to start the Bane trilogy soon, Darth Bane trilogy. So
let me ask you this: it appears that you were doing these in chronological order, the books.
My reviews, yeah.
Yes, your reviews. So, you've read the other stuff, right? You've read this. You're just doing the reviews in chronological order. Because I would never suggest anyone start with Dawn of the Jedi.
Oh no, yeah, no. Well,
okay. You have a collection. You showed it off. I can't remember in which video it was, but you were showing off your collection about This is Star Wars. And I mean, there is a billion great videos, guys, to go and look and watch for his. But the whole thing about This is Star Wars, this is why the expanded universe fits it stays true to the characters that we know, whereas the newer movies do not. And I mean, again, it's a fantastic analysis. So you definitely want to check out his channel.
Yeah. I actually was because see, I'm relatively new to the EU. It wasn't until the sequel trilogies came out and just kind of that wasn't the Star Wars I was looking for. And I was searching, and it was actually your video. I forget the name of it, but it was a video you made on the last comic offering that came from the EU.
Oh, right.
And you were talking about your history with, in the 90s and discovering the Thrawn trilogy and everything. And I'd heard about the Thrawn trilogy. So that's what turned me on to read the Thrawn trilogy first. Oh. And, we looked at a study of that and everything. And yeah, so I'm spotty, a little popping around here and there on the in the continuity. But then I went back to the Old Republic trying to get through that so I could get to the games and whatnot. So.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Oh, yeah. He also does playthroughs, too, if you're into the video games and everything.
Occasionally, yeah.
He's done a few of those as well. He's a jack of all trades, folks. Jack of all trades. That's why I'm so happy to have him on the channel. Now, if there's one, I said 90%, right? I said 95%. I mean, there's the just that. What is that little 10% you may ask? Not many people will care about this, I guess, but
Sure.
It's this guy's Catholic,
Mhm.
and I'm Presbyterian, so that's just But it's okay.
Well,
it's okay.
I was Protestant. I was raised
He
Protestant.
was
so
Protestant. He was
I'm okay with
Protestant
that,
for a short time. And eventually, I've got to warm up to him.
yeah, I was raised. It was actually in the last 5 years or so I converted. So yeah, I was raised for a good portion of my life in that. So I'm fine with that. That's all good.
You actually have the other channel, the Catholic Geek channel. Is that what's called?
Catholic Bible Geek. Yeah.
Catholic Bible Geek channel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's also really good and does a lot of other studies with the Bible and current events and everything, and how Christians should react to certain things. And I find that so good. I mean, you've seen me on some of those streams too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. And that's where we do the Chronicles of Narnia. We're gonna enter.
Yes.
We're just starting the last battle. We were supposed to start it this week, but I had some scheduling problems. After we do the last battle, which is the last Chronicles of Narnia book, we are going to move into Lord of the Rings because we've done The Hobbit a few years ago. So we're going to go ahead and enter the big challenge.
Oh, it's so much fun. Those are so much fun. I'm the biggest nerd. I've read the Silmarillion several times.
Nice.
The history of Middle Earth I've read through twice.
Wow, nice.
It's not something I'll read through as much as the rest of them.
Yeah.
And then Silmarillion even, less than The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I mean, shoot, every other year, almost guaranteed. I may take a walk through. I took a walk through Middle Earth last year, and already I'm going, is it time? No, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. It's just a wonderful adventure to enjoy. I hear people all the time talk about, it's just drugs. And I'm like, I don't know if you know what good books are. I don't know. And I'm not saying I'm a snob when it comes to fantasy and fiction and stuff like that. I just reread some books. I don't know if you're familiar with the author Stephen Lawhead.
Name doesn't ring a bell. No.
Okay, he did something like the Dragon King trilogy and stuff like that. Christian author and everything. And I remember loving those books as a kid. I just finished the trilogy tonight. And I realized something. Even though they're adult novels, they read like young adult fiction now. It's the movement is, I mean, he built this world, but he moves pretty fast through it. The adventure kind of moves pretty fast and isn't as epic. And I'm used to that slow burn that Lord of the Rings offers, that world building aspect, going back, looking, discovering the history, as Frodo and his friends go through there, they're learning about the history of things and coming across. And I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the movies, Lord of the Ring movies. I'm not a fan.
Not a fan of those.
No, if you don't put Tom Bombadil in your movie, I'm out. I'm out. He's a merry fellow. His cap is green and his boots are yellow. I mean,
that's right.
I love Tom Bombadil.
He's a great character. Yeah,
he's a great character. And there's several other things that the movies just got wrong, in my opinion, that I just wish, I wish would have been better. Visually, it looks beautiful. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate in the chat there, but visually it looks good. But other than that, now the other topic I want to discuss. Everyone knows on my podcast, if you didn't hear it, we reviewed the Snyder Cut. Bruce is a huge fan, my co-host, a huge fan. Not only is it the best DC movie that came out, it's the best comic book movie. I'm sorry, I can't say that. Okay, so obviously, if you saw the podcast, I am not a fan. Okay, I'm not a fan. I listed a couple of reasons. Okay, now, full disclosure here, we recorded that weeks ago. After watching it, it felt like I had to get my hard hat on and bring a packed lunch, because it felt like I was going to work trying to watch every single one of those episodes. Yeah, it felt like a chore. And I remember I kept texting Bruce and went, "It's 4 hours," because I didn't know anything about the Snyder Cut. I went spoiler free. I didn't look at the trailer. I knew I wasn't going to like it. But I said, we're going to do this for the podcast, so let me watch it. So I heft through it, and we watched it, and we reviewed it immediately because Bruce couldn't wait. Well, about a week or so later, you did a video, And I wanted to go back and re-record my podcast. Maybe just copy everything you say. I say copy. It's probably plagiarize
That's
everything
okay.
that you said. Because I was like, that's it. That's it. So again, I just want to put another disclaimer there. I know a lot of people love, and I know some of my people on the channel love Snyder Cut and everything. And you use the excuse that, well, it's better than Josh Whedon's. To which on my podcast I said, yes, but so is, waiting in line for the DMV for 4 hours. I'd rather watch Snyder Cut than wait in line for the DMV. There you go. I mean, and there's some parts, and I mentioned that in the podcast, there are some parts I was happy about. They explained a little bit, gave us a little bit more backstory, but at the same time, it still was not good for a lot of the same reasons when I reviewed the first Justice League movie. I was not a fan, but if you don't mind elaborating or on some of the things you said on why, and we're talking not just Justice League, I'm talking about the whole DC universe.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a secret on my channel. If you've been listening to the podcast, folks, I despise Man of Steel. I despise Man of Steel for every reason that you said, and Batman v Superman. And by the way, whenever I trash these movies, it hurts my heart because I'm a DC guy. I'm a DC. I want
me too.
There to be good Batman. I want there to be good I want there to be good DC heroes. I want them to be better than the Marvel movies. I really do.
Yeah.
But when Aquaman is the best thing you got, and that's really mid card at best, it's not really. Then, and in my opinion, out of all of them, maybe Aquaman. But you're like. What's king of the trash hill here? But go ahead, give some of your thoughts on why the DC, or is this the Snyderverse? Is Wonder Woman? Is this all?
I guess you could say Snyderverse. It's really unclear. It's it's unclear exactly what they want to do. But yeah, I mean, technically, even Aquaman and even Shazam is all in the same universe because they may make sure to reference it and stuff. So
Shazam is so different than the other movies. But still not good.
No, they still had to reference Man of Steel and everything.
They still love it. On top of that, if you saw the trailer, you saw every funny moment. And I hated it. I hated it. I was like, all these were jokes from the trailer, except for one. They saved one joke. But other than that, so go ahead, talk a little bit about this DC universe and how it is flawed.
Yeah. Well, the problem really comes from Zack Snyder's vision, as you said, right at the beginning of Man of Steel. And this is something that people who defended even the Man of Steel film were trying to say, all the problems you point out, Superman wouldn't do that. So those are the wrong types of stories to tell for Superman. They would say, but this is just him learning. This is him learning. He's figuring things out. He's going to become that hero that you want. Wait and see. And that's what they claimed that the Snyder Cut would do for him. It didn't. But the problem with that, and this is the problem with Snyder's basic view of the DC universe at foundation level, is that he doesn't understand the archetypes that these characters inhabit. He tried to do to Superman what's been done to every other superhero out there. Let's deconstruct them. Let's give them a lot of self-doubt. Let's have them make some mistakes. Let's rough them up a little bit, make them more relatable, and that way, we can kind of see them, over time progress. Well, he had no concept that these are two different archetypes. So as I say, when it comes to heroes, heroic fiction, superheroes in particular, at the very first, you have a basic divide. Every hero falls into one of two categories before you get into sub-archetypes, and that is the aspirational hero or the cathartic motivational hero. And we have precious few aspirational heroes. You can't have too many of them. The aspirational hero, they're not realistic. These are the ones that always do the right thing. They don't need to suffer any kind of trauma. They don't need to go through any kind of failing to learn that it's good to do the right thing. They just are truly good from the onset. So Superman, Wonder Woman, traditionally, Captain America, they have that goodness in them. They want to do good. They know that heroism is worth doing. Now you need those heroes around. You can't have too many of them because they can, be a little unrealistic or whatever, but it's desperate. It's so imperative that we have them there because they give us a standard to strive for. And if we start to bring that standard down, So we will never reach that level. We'll never be like Superman. Because he's a fictional hero. He's unrealistic to be everything good at like Superman. But we try as hard as we can, and maybe we can come up to whatever level we can. If we start to bring that aspirational level down, well, then we're not going to try as hard. That's just human nature, and we see that culturally, with mythologies. And the other types of heroes, the kind of hero that Snyder tried to turn Superman into, is the ubiquitous kind. These are everywhere, and these are the cathartic motivational. Now, they're important to have. A character like Spider-Man, for example, is the greatest example of a cathartic motivational hero. These are heroes that they do mess up. They go through self-doubt, moral failings. They make mistakes. But the important thing is they get up, dust themselves off, and keep trying. So that's what makes them motivational, not just cathartic. The cathartic motivational heroes only work, though, if they have aspirational heroes, even within their universes, to try to be like. So when you take Superman, the most pinnacle aspirational hero in the DC universe, and try and tell him as a cathartic motivational, not even really motivational, really just more cathartic. You think that first Man of Steel film, it was basically Hamlet. It was basically the exact structure of Hamlet. He's walking around, should I help? Should I not? I don't know. Really, should I do this? By the end of the movie, the whole stage is littered with corpses. That's it. It's Hamlet. And Hamlet wasn't a hero.
It's amazing.
It was a tragedy. And that's what he did. So he starts out with that basic foundation. This is the thing about the aspirational hero. You cannot become an aspirational hero. You have to be, it's part of the definition that you are there. You are one from the start. That's what you have to do to become an aspirational hero. So people were saying, oh, but he's going to show us how he develops into one. Well, you can't develop into one. And as everybody's been saying, they see the Snyder Cut. No, it's not believable. They tried to do this in the animated film recently, Superman Man of Tomorrow, too. Tried to show, a lot of failings in the beginning or self-doubt or whatever. And then just in the end, it was magical. Everybody looks up to him. It's, as you said, it rings hollow. Who's leaving flowers on this man's grave? Who cares
what
about
has
this
he
guy?
done in the past two movies that require all of this love and affection?
Exactly.
He shot down in satellite on top of a armor saying, leave me alone. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We love you, but we
Exactly.
love you. And then Batman v Superman. Okay, he comes back, fights a big gigantic monster, tears up the entire town, but we love you. I don't know why. I also don't know why that if everyone in that city loves and misses Superman. So, and by the way, they love Superman, right? The army's there. They're watching the monument, make sure no one, I guess, defames the statue or, whatever, his visual. And so you have Batman, who everyone thinks is a myth. Remember, he doesn't really exist. People don't know if he exists or not. So Batman shows up. Aquaman, who they've never seen, the world has not seen yet, unless you're some small fish town where the women sing awkwardly as you go away. And then you have the Flash, who, I don't know. They try to make him as unspecial. He is the most worthless character on the Justice League. Because you know who else has super speed, folks? Wonder Woman. She stops bullets. Yep. You know who else has super speed? Superman. So I don't know why we need Flash. I mean, seriously, Wonder Woman or Superman could have spun around and round for Cyborg. But anyway, we got to make him the comedic relief. But no one knows him either. So these and Wonder Woman, who has been in hiding for whenever, except in 1984 when she came out and started swinging like Spider-Man all through a mall, lassoing clouds and lightning and swinging from that too, like the Care Bears adventure circa 1986.
Oh my gosh.
I knew I'd heard that movie was horrible, so I went in with low expectations and they didn't even meet it. I mean, I went like ground level expectations, like, oh my, this is bad. It's like a 6-year-old wrote it.
Yeah.
And when we did the review, by the way, folks, when we did the podcast, I had no idea it was Patty Jenkins at the time. I just did not pay attention to that. And then after the podcast, we looked it up. I was like, no way. I can't believe she would write this.
Well,
but
okay.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say Wonder Woman that you're talking about her. She's a whole separate problem as well. Wonder Woman's also aspirational. She doesn't need, any failings or anything like that. And a lot of people defended that first Wonder Woman movie, which granted, it was a much better film than anything Snyder put out.
It was.
But where it gets the character wrong is Wonder Woman being aspirational, she has to come to the world of man, to least Themyscira, because she's chosen to be the ambassador from Themyscira. Themyscira is a highly advanced race. I mean, they've got all these advanced sciences. They're not just a bunch of barbarians with shields. This was part of what Marston created her as, and it's part of what she kind of developed and stuck in our culture with decades upon decades. So Wonder Woman comes back as an ambassador to bring Steve Trevor back to the world, but also to show the world of man the ways of the Themyscira, the ways of peace. And now she is a warrior and she's trained, but her whole theme is you do not raise a hand against anyone unless you first extended it in peace, understanding, trying to come to a compromise, trying anything you can before you resort to violence. Then if you have to resort to violence, she's certainly trained in that. Snyder didn't see any of that in his Wonder Woman. Snyder set the foundation. Archetypically, Wonder Woman's a heroine archetype, and a heroine archetype bridges boundaries of femininity and masculinity. She's what Freud would call the Freudian bisexual. Nothing to do with sexual orientation. It means someone who's fully developed both their masculine and feminine attributes within them. That's what a heroine archetype is, and that's what Wonder Woman was. Snyder took and made her, I say Xena Warrior Princess, because he made her the archetype of the phallic woman. Suddenly she carries a sword everywhere. It's no more just about her, Lazarus. She's sword and shield. She's bloodthirsty. She's hacking and slashing. It's all about her violence. She's not there to save the criminals themselves. That's the thing about Wonder Woman with that lasso of truth. The lasso of truth made you submit not to her, but to the truth of yourself, the truth of what you were doing. It was about saving the criminals as much as it was about saving their victims. Snyder had no concept of that whatsoever. In fact, when they showed the costume reveal when Batman v Superman was still coming out, and this is what your Wonder Woman's going to look like, and they showed Gal Gadot and the costume. The costume designer actually put out a description explaining it and said the red of her corset there is supposed to be the congealed blood of her victims over the century. Are you kidding me?
Are you not entertained? I just go for it. Go for it the whole way. Gladiator style. Yeah, the whole thing though with when they bring Superman back. Mm-hmm. I know where I was going with this earlier. They bring Superman back, and of course he has to have a fight with him. Why? Because the story just needs it. It makes zero sense. Mm-hmm. But it's funny how all these humans who love Superman open up fire on Superman for attacking 4 unknown people. The world doesn't know Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, or Flash. Mm-hmm. So why choose Superman's side? You've been laying flowers at his grave. You've been studying. He's alive. Yay! Our savior. Remember, he's the savior of mankind. We love Superman. Quick, fire. Well, I guess the military was there just to kill Superman if he ever rose from the dead.
I know, right?
I did, and I was like, are you serious? We're not talking like slight plot holes that you can, smooth over and cover. We're talking gaping holes here, folks.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to nitpick either. And that's what Bruce thought in the podcast I was nitpicking. I said, I'm really not. I'm talking, if you want me to nitpick, I got a whole laundry list of nitpicks.
Yeah. Well, you look, Snyder's not that's not his strength. The storyteller is not what he does. He's a very specific visual artist. That's what you go see a Snyder film is if your taste is what his visuals are. He's very or stylized rather, with the slow motion, with the colors and the darkness and stuff like that. That's in his movies over. And the only movies of his that have really worked are films that were already based on a solidly constructed story. So like The Watchmen, not really a story to my taste, but he did a great job on that because that his view, his aesthetic was perfectly matched to that story, and the story was already so well constructed by Alan Moore's graphic novel. He's trying to construct something out of nothing here, and people will say this is the people who say this is a great comic book movie. This is absolutely Superman from the comics or Batman. They'll point to these little elements. They'll point to the the fact of Batman coming back to life, like in the comics or this or that. The problem is they point to instances from the comics that were either bad choices in the comics, were actually highly controversial and shouldn't have been done. Like in John Byrne's run in the 80s, he actually had Superman destroy with kryptonite this alternate universe Zod character. It wasn't good. It wasn't stupid. He basically killed him. It was dumb, and people were very upset about it. It was kind of Byrne's parting shot before he left the run. So people will say, well, see, you're unhappy with Superman killing Zod in Man of Steel, but he did that in the comic books. a lot of stupid things have been done in the comic books, guys. That's not a defense. And then you can pick certain good things from the comic books or certain good stories, but it's not enough just to put the same pose in your film. It's not enough just to nod to it. Unless you're developing it in context, then you're not actually pulling it from the comics. You're just randomly throwing little snippets into a blender and thinking that you've done your job. And that's not storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And I just, it's just one of those things where each time is for me, for Zack Snyder, someone said they enjoyed 300. Yeah. I enjoyed 300. I enjoyed Dawn of the Dead. I didn't know he did that remake, by the way. I had to go back to his filmography. I was like, oh, okay, because I remember enjoying that one too. And but over time, I just have lost interest in him. A lot of his stuff has just been not that good, and he just doesn't. I don't think I've ever asked you this. I don't really like Christopher Nolan's Batman.
No, it's not Batman. It's Christopher Nolan's version of Batman.
Yeah.
And I think the first two films are quite well made films, but from the get-go, he's not making Batman. He's and he was honest about
it. Look at that. The first two films were good. The third film is just horrendous. It's horrendous.
Yeah. And he didn't even care at that point. He was wanting out of his contract.
Oh, that's true too. That's true too. So I want to well, I was going to switch gears here. There's another video that you did. You did Superman. You did a review for Superman for All Seasons.
Yes. Yeah.
That is. I'm not a big Superman fan. In fact, I'm really not a Superman fan. That is the one story that I do enjoy.
Oh, cool.
So it's you picked one out there. What are some other Superman? I may be spoiling other videos you're going to come out with.
Oh, that's fine.
What are some other Superman stories that are on that? Because I really do think that's a good one. That was the exception to the rule. Most Superman stories, and to be honest, I haven't read them all. Not read the big ones. That's how I got into comic books. My dad heard that Superman was going to die back in the 90s, right? And he, like everyone else, bought that comic book when it came out. Well, he read it and he didn't understand who Doomsday was, what was going on. So he went on a quest to buy all the issues leading up to this.
Sweet.
And so we were already baseball card collectors. And so baseball card and comic books were basically shops were the same. A lot of them were back in the 90s. And so when he'd go look for baseball cards, they had comic books. He'd ask for those Doomsday issues he was missing too.
Yeah.
And then he collected and we read the whole story together. Cool. And of course, that's what kickstarted us off, because after that, Nightfall was happening.
Yeah, Nightfall's great. Yeah.
Chuck Dixon was writing Nightfall. Bane was about to break the back. Chuck Dixon's fantastic. He's
amazing.
He's an amazing author.
Absolutely.
Writer, I mean. Yeah. And but we got the Nightfall series next. We collected that one. Dad was going to collect that one too, because these comic books, that Death of Superman was going to be worth $1 million by
That's right.
08.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but the thing is though, it kickstarted us into collecting comic books, which we did for the longest. We collected comic books because of that. So Death of Superman was one that we read, but other Superman stuff that we read, because Dad was getting the reign of the Superman, and DC knows how to kill interest in the story quick. Because how that kind of just dragged. There's 4 Superman. Which one is it? And I said, it's none of the above.
Exactly.
None of the above. It's not going to be any of those. Sure enough, they told you it's one of these 4. It's not. It's mullet wearing. It's me. It's me in a black Superman outfit, my black PJs that I came out on. But Dad was still getting the story because he felt like he had to, because who knows how much these are going to be worth in the future.
Sure.
And then Dad eventually, I think, got out very quickly and just let us collect them. But so, I mean, Superman for All Seasons was one that got suggested to me by, I think, Bruce, my buddy on the podcast, and it was a good one. What other Superman stories? Please don't say Superman Alien.
No. Oh my gosh, no. That's the Max Landis one, right? No.
Yes, he spits the alien into the sun, and you're like, what?
No.
What was the point of this?
No.
Okay,
no.
What other Superman comic books are good?
In terms of other stories that deal with his origin quite well, you could look at Superman's Secret Origins by Jeff Johns. Was really quite well. It was he's actually going back and trying to fold in a lot of elements from the Silver and Golden Age into the iconic Superman we knew at that day. So he even kind of folded in the Superboy elements of Smallville. gloriously drawn by Gary Frank. It was a really great book. I talk about Superman Kryptonite a lot. This was one by the late great Darwin Cook, but it was drawn by Tim Sale, the same guy who did Superman for All Seasons. And this was actually a story in which it's trying to tell the story of when Superman first found out about kryptonite. And he rolls it together with Superman first finding out about his Kryptonian heritage, actually. So it's a Superman that's already in Metropolis. He's already being Superman, but it's really well done. And the whole gist of it is at the end, I won't spoil the story, but there's just this wonderful moment, which is what makes it such an iconic Superman. He's there with Ma and Pa Kent on the porch, and they said, "So do you want us to call you Cal now?" So he found out his real name. He said, "Never." He said, I'm thankful to it's something like I'm thankful to the people who sent me here, and I'll have great respect for them. But if this whole thing has taught me anything, it's that I'm Clark Kent. I'm Ma and Pa. I'm Jonathan and Martha's, son and everything. And that's exactly right, because he identifies as a human being, even though he's so much more. So that was good. Superman Kryptonite. It was originally released in a Superman Confidential, but it came together as a graphic novel, Superman Kryptonite. There are a lot of others. It's hard when you get into different continuities because DC's rebooted so many times. Even before the New 52, they were doing that. But there is a Superman story called Up, Up, and Away, and it's by Kurt Busiek. And I like this story quite a bit as well because they've had this sort of crisis or whatever, but apparently it's left Superman without his powers. So he's married to Lois Lane at that point, and he's just trying to live life. The other superheroes are around and stuff, and it's about him coming to terms and what happens for him to regain his powers. But it really shows forth a real, true Superman, definitely. There's Coming of Atlas, Superman Coming of Atlas, which introduces this old Jack Kirby villain from the past, and they're kind of re-bringing him into the universe, and that deals with it opens up with a scene which is great. It's Superman and Green Lantern out in space playing fetch with Krypto, the super dog. Perfect. How can you not like that?
I tell you, I do like the relationship between Batman and Superman in the 90s era comic books, even dating back to I think the late 80s when Robin. And correct me if I'm wrong. This whole Superman Batman rivalry type thing, did it start after the death of Robin? Because that's the first time I remember seeing the two of them have Superman is stopping Batman from killing the Joker.
And a death in the family. Yeah.
And Batman goes to punch him, almost breaks his hand because Superman rolled with the punch.
Yeah, you're lucky to roll with the punch.
Ticked off like, Clark, you're not the judge and jury, where you can't tell me what to do or whatever. And that was their first. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, he's talking back to Superman. Batman ticked off. And then from there on out, you had this push and pull between Batman and Superman. Superman being the optimist, Batman being the pessimist, and rightfully so. I mean, you look at this guy, Superman, loving parents, raised in corn-fed Kansas, man. Loving home, out on the farm, family values. Bruce Wayne, super rich, already kind of cut off and away from the world. On another level, a rich level, can't really connect to anyone. Loses his parents at a young age, has a really rough life. That he forced on himself, became disciplined, kind of shrouded, and it's kind of taken them off in two different directions. And I loved how they pushed that narrative there. And one of them, and I it's been a long time, so if this comic book sucks, no one come back at me. But Final Night, I remember when Green Lantern, who is Parallax, was that his name?
Parallax, at that point.
He crushes the. He crushes the sun, I think, or he's going to kill the sun, which is Superman's power. And I like that, because Superman's going to be weak now in this one, so he can't help out as much. And it's by the way, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I did enjoy it because I remember there's a 2 pages in there where the demon is telling people because it's going to freeze on Earth. He said, "Come to hell. It's always warm here." And it's comedy. It's the demon. And I was like, that's pretty funny. And then they had at the end, Superman gives this soliloquy. Did I say that right? See, if you hang out with this guy, you start learning those types of words, folks. But he gives a soliloquy about Hal Jordan and how he may have been a villain, but he went out because if I remember right, I think Hal Jordan said, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing?" and stopped everything and sacrificed himself. So Superman goes, even though he did this, 0 hour, which was really awful for us all, but in the end, he went out a hero, and that's how he shall remain. And the
Yeah.
whole time I'm reading the comic book, I'm rolling my eyes, I'm gagging, I turn the page and Batman goes, "Shut up, Clark." He was, just because the man does one thing at the end doesn't mean he was this great all. I was like, yeah, tell him Batman. And I always love that. And because I'm a Batman fan, I felt like, well, I got to hate Superman, right?
Oh, no.
Superman's not a bad person. I've read some, they brought enough kryptonite to put his planet back together in the comic books. I mean, there's so much, everyone has kryptonite because it's hard to write a Superman story because the man is impenetrable, right? Kryptonite. And so when they said, you know what, guys, let's stop doing kryptonite stories. And this is in the 90s, to be fair. And they said, okay, let's do things where he's not around the Earth's sun, which is where Final Night came in. There's one where he is, I can't remember what it was, but he was lost in space. So because he's out in space, he doesn't have a yellow sun to give him his superpower. So aliens and who else can come across and beat him up. And then the whole thing with, Kingdom Come, magic can stop Superman, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's make a bunch of magical characters. And it's just one trope after the next. For All Seasons was good. I saw Chris Nelson. Chris is here. Up and Way.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic. So I'm making notes. Folks. So I'll ask if Bruce is my comic book library. And if he has any of those, I'll definitely check him out. I should mention something. You talked about this, or you were hitting on it, and I know you talked about it in your review. In a comic book, and I got called out on this by someone on my reviews, my comic book reviews. I never or very rarely talk about art, and I should. Art does contribute to a story. Getting the right artist for the story does matter.
Definitely.
And I do kind of regret not focusing as much on the artwork of each comic book. I know Jeremy from Stupid Chainsaw Productions kind of picked on me about that. He said, "You never talk about the artwork." I said, "Well, that was good too, but it's true that artwork, because you talked about Tim Sale writing that with a different author and everything, but you said
Jeff Loeb,
so it had the same look as Superman for All Seasons. I can't remember which comic book you were talking about, by the way.
Oh, when I was talking about Superman Kryptonite, it's interesting
Kryptonite.
though. It does have it's a still Sale style, but it's not the same Supermans. A lot of people look at the Superman from Superman All Seasons and they're turned off by it. It's like, oh, I don't like that. He looks like a fat guy. He's not. He's doing something specific to show him in relation to his environment. But his Superman for Kryptonite is very, very different, because a good artist will not just do their one trick pony act in every book they do. They actually adjust their art to match the story, And Tim Sale's like that. So not every artist is, but.
Okay. All right. I'm going to switch gears now. I have a lot of Star Wars Expanded Universe fans on my channel. I have no idea why. I have no idea.
That's what I am. I'm one of the Star Wars EU learning from your channel. Definitely.
But like I said, I'm trying to give spoilers of all his great videos, but you need to go back and watch these guys, Professor Geek's videos on this too. What was the name of that where you were talking about, you were showing your bookshelf, you were talking about this story, we were talking about how the expanded universe feels like the characters more true to the storyline.
I think this is where Star Wars. Let me I can find it real quick. But it was something like this is where Star Wars is existing or whatever.
Yes. And you were hitting on a lot of points that I've talked about. Chris, if you haven't seen Professor Geek's channel on that, you definitely need to check that out because it's a lot of the things Chris and I have talked about in the past. But just give a little short synopsis. So you got into the EU, you told us how, and you started reading it. You're enjoying it a lot. And what are some of the things, especially when it comes to Luke, Leia, Han, and stuff, that you're liking that these books are doing better than what the movies portrayed them as?
Yeah. Well, you think, to look at the Thrawn trilogy, for example, because that's what Zahn was doing. Zahn was doing what he had the same task before him that, say, Abrams or Kathleen Kennedy did when they started to make that sequel trilogy. It was, what do we do? We're doing a new trilogy now. It's so many years later. Zahn said, let's not betray any of the things that these characters have accomplished or any of the progressions that we've lived through these characters in. So if they came away from the original trilogy and Luke learned how to be this hero, this Jedi, he's not 100% understanding how to do the whole new Jedi Order yet or anything, but he's coming through everything that he's been through and he's still true to it. He's a hero. He's believing in his father. He's glad that he was able to save him. You have Luke and Han and Leia rather, and their romance. That's great. They're married at that point. let's not betray anything that because people love these stories and these characters, and they've lived with these characters to a certain point. They feel like they know who they are at the end of these progressions. If you're going to do, so many years later and revisit them, you don't, it's a mark of a poor writer to suddenly just say, scrap all that. They change completely, or the same bad guy comes back, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not how you write a sequel trilogy to something. That's how you write a sequel period to anything. You honor what came before, because if you just scrap all of that, it tells us that you're not a strong enough writer to continue on that. It's because it takes a good writer to say, okay, they've been through this amazing arc. What else can we give them to go through? What else can we do? And Zahn showed how that you could do that perfectly in that Thrawn trilogy. So that's what I love about that. And go ahead.
No. In the expanded universe, I've said this before. When you make the cheap cop out that Han leaves Leia, he can't take the pressure, whatever. I never watched the movie, so I don't know what the actual excuse was. But something like, "Oh, I got to go back to my old ways." Okay, so he just went 360 back to where he started, a loner by himself. Yeah. What? How is that going to make us happy to see him?
Exactly.
He's actually a fallen character model, so he couldn't really handle it. So he is just a bum. You know what I mean? It's just that how is that glorifying this character and moving him forward? Whereas in Timothy Zahn's version, yes, he and Leia, it's not just them now. Now they got kids. Now they got it. Now we're getting to see them as a family. Now we get to see the trials and tribulations of protecting their children, which in Bantam is every other book. So kids get kidnapped. But the thing is, though, as they grow up, there are moments where Han's with the kids and everything, and there's great moments like that where he, progresses as a character, and he does suffer a new loss in New Jedi Order that he has to work through, which I thought was fine. I thought was fine for that character, but they kept him together because one thing Han has already learned is the importance of friends. Yes, the importance of family. Yeah. That's already been established. He is, the moment he turned the Falcon around in A New Hope, he said, okay, you know what? I'm not a split and run guy this time. And they kept with that. He's trying to pull away an Empire, but he can't, and he doesn't want to. And then we find out Return of the Jedi, he just goes ahead and embraces it. Yeah. This is his family. This is his friends. This is where he and Chewie are meant to stay. He's not going to go back to being a loner anymore. And we're happy for him as a character. And so Timothy Zahn, like you said, has given us exactly what we expect for him. He's a married man. He's settled down. They're about to have kids, and we're all cheering for him. But when you go to The Force Awakens, where is he? Oh, well, it just didn't work out right. He had to split. Oh, great. Thanks for depressing me. And Luke, the most optimistic person in the original trilogy, when no one believes in Darth Vader. No one believes. It's a lost cause, Luke. Give up on him. No, there is good in him. And he is always, when he's about to go against the impenetrable, what we think is the impenetrable Death Star, it's a 1 in a million shot. But he's like, I shot womp rats in my backyard. He always looks at the glass half full. Exactly. Every time. Even when they get their butts whooped in Empire Strikes Back. What's he like? He's like, well, lost my hand. Kind of bummed that Ben didn't tell me about my father, but you know what? There's a little bit of comfort where he puts his arm around Leia, and he's like, it's not breaking down, crying. It's not, Khan at the end of it or anything like that. There's hope in Luke's eyes. Like, we're going to get this. We're going to do this. And remember, in Return of the Jedi, he has this crazy plan that Han doesn't believe is going to work when he wakes up out of carbon. He's like, what? Luke, the kid, he doesn't have anything under control. Yes. Because everyone rallies around Luke because he is optimistic. Not in the new series. Yeah. And
you say optimistic, he's aspirational. He is one of those aspirational heroes. So I actually, when I did a video a while ago called Stop Deconstructing Heroes, it had Man of Steel and Jake Skywalker there, as Mark Hamill calls him. Because it's the same thing. These were aspirational heroes. And what do we do with them now? Deconstruct them. Yeah, that's not original. It's what you do with every character out there. And why would you? And some people say, well, what about those who like those versions? Well, they already have 1,000 other characters who are treated just like that. Go watch those. You don't bring the Punisher back to theaters for a new trilogy and have him, helping, at an animal shelter, and he's all nice now and he doesn't kill and stuff like that. No, because that's not who the Punisher is. And it doesn't matter if some people like that version. You don't betray who characters are because it affects society. These characters exist for certain functions in society, and personally to our psychologies and in our culture in general. And when you start monkeying with that just for the sake of you can or whatever, or wouldn't it be interesting or whatever, there are consequences, definitely.
Yeah, my brother joked when he saw Force Awakens, he told me it was great, and I was like, really? And then the next week he said, I apologize. Now that I think about it, it was terrible story writing that fooled me with the flashes, with the pop and everything. And he said, I'm looking at it now. I'm thinking about it now. He said, the arcs are terrible. The character portrayal is awful. He said, this is lazy story writing. He said, it's awful. I changed them. I said, in 1 week.
In 1 week.
Thinking about it. Now, I've been fooled. I've been fooled on a movie before. What was the movie that I said I loved when I came out of theaters? And then the more I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. No, the movie makes no sense. It was Ridley's new, the Alien, his Alien, not reboot. But
I haven't seen that.
What was the one that came out after 4? Someone in the chat can help me out later, I guess. But
was the Titan something? Or
yeah, I thought it was the Alien the Beginning or something like that. I can't remember what it was called. Oh, no, you're right. It wasn't called Aliens. It was called something else.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I walked away thinking, that was great. Then the more I thought about it, I was like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't at all. It's a terrible movie. And my brother gave it to me as a joke. Prometheus, thank you. He gave it to me as a joke. He bought it for $2, the Blu-ray.
That tells you something.
He went, this is crap. You liked it, didn't you? I said, no, I hated it. He went, watch it again. Make sure you hate it. And so I did. Like, this is an awful movie. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a movie do that to you? That you tricked you and you're like, oh, that was fun. And the more you thought about it, it's like, wait a minute. That wasn't really that strong of a movie.
Not to that extreme, but I did. When I first saw Avengers Endgame, I was a lot of the choices they made immediately just really bothered me, even in the theater. But you can't, as a Captain America fan like I am, you just certain moments with Captain America, when he's picking, it was awesome. Some of those moments they did with him. Then you don't like what they did at the end. Anyway, it had a lot of cool things about it that I even made like an initial video reaction right fresh out of the theater. And I said in there's a lot of things I don't like, but there's some really good things too. And after letting that kind of process, I realized that the things they did wrong in that film far outweigh the good moments, in terms of treating those characters well and giving them the end, the culmination to their arcs. So yeah.
It took us 3 days to watch that stupid movie.
Endgame, yeah.
And my wife was going, can we go to bed? I said, yeah, we're going to go to bed. We're just giving it up. We had the last 30 minutes to go that last night, but I was like, oh my gosh.
So many problems with that.
There's so many problems with it. So
they dropped the ball so hard.
Let's do nothing for 2 hours and see if they're still in theaters. They're still sitting there. Okay, come on, let's wrap up the movie then. Let's give them the end of the movie now. Because my wife was, is this all it is? There is nothing. I said, I don't know. I kept laughing. I said, I don't know what's going on.
It's so much poor writing in that. Pacing is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Pacing is horrible. It is horrible. But the thing is, though, I mean, there are some things like the fat Thor scene. I was like, this is going nowhere. I'm laughing, but it's going nowhere. Nothing. Yeah. It's like we still don't want. We just want to put in as much as we can because we know we can get you to pay for the ticket. But we really don't have that much of a story left, folks. I mean, we gave you a little battle at the end. We'll wrap it up at the end, beginning.
Yeah. Well, that's a good example, writing-wise, how they started out with this bad idea. That whole 3 or 5 year jump or whatever it was, that's a really bad idea, and it affects, like, it kills the whole story after that because wouldn't it be interesting?
Your momentum. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly right. That's a good point. Kills the momentum that was leading up to it. Did you get to see WandaVision?
I refuse to watch anything else in the Marvel Universe after Endgame. I just refuse. People have been saying that WandaVision's really great, and I don't doubt that it's probably really good quality storytelling. But in my mind, that's how these whether it's Disney with Star Wars or Disney with Marvel, that's how they're going to kind of have their cake and eat it too. They will not retcon anything they've done in the past. In fact, they'll just let that sit dormant for a while until they eventually start building on it again, because they'll distract you with the shiny baubles, whether it's, whatever new that comes out. So yeah, that's an argument I've been making on my channel, but other people have said it's really good. Maybe it is, Did you like it?
Oh, that's fine. No, my wife wanted to watch it. I did not. I did enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy it. And folks, I think we did a podcast on that. Bruce and I did a podcast on that last week. 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. Anyway, but yeah, I did enjoy it. I did. But I'm fine with someone because I'll be honest. After Endgame, I was fine leaving too.
Yeah.
And not coming back. I said, let's just stop because my wife, all her favorites, are kind of gone now. She loves she loves Chris Evans, Captain America. He's gone. She loves the Iron Man. He's
Tony
gone.
Stark,
So she's like, I was like, all right, but she'll go away from something, then she'll come back. But I am glad she got me to watch WandaVision. That was fun. I see a guitar in the background.
Oh yeah, that's my bass.
Yeah. Do you have a band?
I don't. I got back into playing. I used to play in bands quite a bit in my early 20s, teenagers to early 20s, and kind of got out of it when I got into school and stuff like that. But I started picking it because I played for 10, 13, 14 years or so. But I picked it up during the quarantine and everything, and started replaying it again, and really having fun with it. So I am looking for some people to jam with and stuff again.
Look out! There you go. I played guitar for a very short time.
You did? Cool.
I plugged some strings back in my college days. And I remember we started a band. I've never told this story actually. We started a band, and we got together, do some jam sessions because we were going to play local and everything and be local hits. And as we were playing, there was a guy who could play much better than me. I said, well, you know what? I'll go to bass and you take lead guitar. We'll do that. And so went and did a little bass. And then there's another guy who could do it a lot better than me. And I said, why don't you be bass? They said, okay, well, why don't you sing? I said, yeah, I'll sing. And then there's a guy that had a better voice than me. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't. And so the band that I created, eventually I booted myself out. They felt bad. They said, oh, no, you stick around. You can do this. And I said, guys, I'm the least talented here. So I need to go because eventually you're going to be like, yeah, this guy is not that good. So, And then during my move, when I got married, I lost my guitar. I don't know where it went. How do you lose a guitar in the move? But it's gone. And I thought I'd put it over at my parents' house. They don't have it. If you stop playing for years, you lose it. And I've stopped playing. So, I could play the C note, the D note, and the G note, and that's about it. Strum something with that. But so I saw that in the background. I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm just a rocker, just a kind of jammer. Now, my girlfriend's an actual master's in composition and violinist and all that, and does electronic music and stuff. So she really knows her stuff. I'm just a jam session kind of guy, just a rocker. I have
a nephew, not nephew. I have a cousin who married a guy who he graduated masters in composition and stuff, and he knows all about music. And I love him to death because whenever he talks to me, he acts like I know about music theory. I appreciate that he thinks I'm that smart. He's like, well, because you want to do that half note when you hear this. You go, ha, ha, ha. But actually, it's not a half note. So blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't even know what I'm saying, by the way. I'm just kind of making up what he was saying. I'm going, yeah, Jared, look, dude, I'm so happy you think I'm smart. But I don't know any of that. That's
when you turn around and start explaining him the differences between the young Jedi and the junior Jedi Knights. You start talking about that.
It totally kills the conversation for him. But yeah, that's great. What other hobbies do you have?
I am a creative writer. So I write. I geek out about things and I play music. That's about it. I'm not a sports guy or anything. So. But I am working on my master's in theology right now, which is where kind of trying to tie that content to a lot of the Catholic Bible Geek channel. So really, I've always been into the Bible, and it's approaching the Bible too is as someone who looks at English literature. You look at it with literary mindset, with literary types and stuff like that. How like how there's all this Christ typology throughout the Old Testament. Moses is a type of Christ, David's a type of Christ, and looking at it as a one book, tied together thematically and typology wise and all this kind of stuff. It's that's another hobby. I really enjoy that. So
awesome. That's awesome. That's great. So one last thing, we're about to wrap up here. Go ahead, plug. I don't know if you have Twitter, Instagram, whatever. You can plug it all right now.
Okay. Well, I do. I don't. I'm off Twitter now. Twitter was just a headache.
Yeah, I've been off Twitter too.
Yeah, so I got off that. I do have a Facebook group for Professor Geek channel. I have one for the Catholic Bible Geek channel too. But I'll put, I don't know if people can put links in your chat. I just put one in there. I don't know if it showed up or not.
Try it. Let's see if it does.
But that's a link to the to the Professor Geek Facebook group, and there's one for Catholic Bible Geek as well. I do have a MeWe and stuff like that. I'm trying to kind of look at some of those things, but I haven't done much on it yet, you know. So anytime I will eventually get that going, you know, you'll find it on the Facebook groups. But there's the group for the Catholic Bible Geek channel as well, if that shows up. It's showing up for me. But
if it doesn't, put it. Oh, it did. Okay, I didn't see it,
but I might not show up for you. So.
Put it in the private chat. I'll put it in the description.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah.
Of the live thing here later on.
Okay.
So
yeah, this is the
just put it in the private chat there. Awesome.
Gotcha.
Well, let me see if I can do that though. Mm-hmm. But yeah, guys, definitely check him out. I have been it's just been so entertaining watching you.
Oh, cool.
Over these years, and I'm so happy. We talked about this on and off. See if I can post. Surely I can post it. There you go. We talked about it on and off, having you on here and there, and it's just something I just needed to get around to, and I'm so glad we did this. Please, if you can, I'd love to have you back.
Cool, absolutely. And as I was telling you a little bit beforehand, I do I've been wanting you on my channel as well. Specifically, I do a series called The Inspiration of Heroes, where I think, I'm always talking about what heroes have meant to me specifically, but I've got this series where I draw in people who are friends of the channel, have channels of their own or whatever, and I interview them about what heroes growing up or in any part of life really shaped them and helped, inspire them to get through stuff or to become who they are. And I would love to have you on as soon as possible for that.
I'd be honored. We'll talk about that. Definitely.
Cool.
I'd love to. And guys, I posted the other Facebook thing there. Oh, look at that. Sub, you got one.
Thank you, sir.
All right, yeah, definitely sub to this guy. I really do enjoy his videos. Go back and watch some of the videos that I mentioned. There's a lot of interest there. Like I said, you're into geek culture, the professor is who you go to. All right, guys, thanks again for joining me here. I really enjoyed this. We're going to have more guests on throughout the month. I see Scoundrels Cantina join too. I'm going to see that man hopefully tomorrow, awesome. Sir. He's going to be on a more civilized age, which is something else I'm going to get you on.
Sure.
Soon. So, but anyway, folks, y'all have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see you later on.